I want to introduce, please give a round of applause to Coach.
Mike, you want really quick?
Appreciate it. I may not need the mic, man.
Okay.
Cox did it without a mic, so
Okay, there we go. The competitive.
He said Cox did it without a mic.
First off, I appreciate Bose, man. Anytime I can come and give back or, give some type of knowledge, it's big time for me. I see a bunch of dudes in here, to be honest, that kind of groomed me. So it's funny that I'm up here teaching maybe some of the younger guys or giving you guys some tips. Like I said, Cox coached me in AAU. Bose watched me grow up. What I'm gonna do is, I don't want to bore y'all with my story, but I'm gonna give you my story. And then if there's any questions of how to go about getting into college or what it takes, or once you're in there, what it takes to stay and be successful, I would leave room to, ask some questions. And then towards the end, I can't help but to do some basketball. So I'll run you through some of the stuff that we do to begin practice. At Bryant, I think I was there for 7 years. 5 out of the 7 years, we were top 5 in pace. So what pace means is kind of how fast you play. People get that mixed up though, because some people think pace just means running up and down the court, fast as you can shoot. And that's not what we're about. What we do is we try to play as fast as possible, but we don't want to stop. So we don't call a ton of plays unless it's a dead ball. What we do is we get the ball in, we spread the floor, we try to play, and then we teach our guys with different things that I'm gonna try to show you guys at the end of this. We just teach them to play and make reads and continue to play. So for me, I'll start from the beginning, man, because anybody, how many people were looking to get into college or anything like that? There's some young people in here. I think I'm the true definition of kind of getting it out of the mud. I've been through everything in this basketball world. As a young kid, it's funny, Curtis Malone is here. As a young kid, I think 7th and 8th grade, I was probably me and Sebastian Telfair were neck and neck as who's the best 7th and 8th grader in the nation at the time. My father ended up passing, and I'm sure you guys as coaches deal with kids that have people passing or trying to get through some stuff in their life that, life is unexpected, right? Different things happen. So my father passed away at that time, and I ended up I stopped playing basketball at Montrose Christian, and I gained 100 pounds. So that's why my nickname is Fat Cat. I started playing again, and then people started calling me Fat Cat. So at Montrose, I dealt with the business of basketball. I probably shouldn't be saying all of this, but as a 7th and 8th grader, I was negotiating deals for me and my sister to get free tuition. I'll say that again. As a 7th and 8th grader, I was in the office, not of the principal, but the headmasters, negotiating if I started to play basketball again, can my sister keep her scholarship? I was not, but like some of the kids that you deal with, everybody thinks they're an NBA player, right? But I got my body back in shape. 3 months later, I ended up catching the same cancer that my father passed away from when I was 12, 13 years old. So I ended up, playing that year throughout, and then that was the end of my basketball career. At the time, they didn't have some of the things that they have now for people to be able to get through some of those things. But fortunately, and this is to teach you guys about relationships, I didn't know, obviously at that age, I didn't have any money. My parents didn't have any money. Fortunately, throughout my dealings at New Mexico State, I ran into a young lady and her daughter who I just played with after games. I just used to shoot with her, didn't know anything about the people. So once they found out that I had cancer, out of nowhere, they contacted the coaches. They sent me to the Cleveland Clinic and paid everything. Paid for my stay there for a week, paid for my surgery, paid for everything. So I was tremendously lucky to have those people in my life. And that all came from doing right. And I'm gonna circle back to that. It all came from just doing right and being genuine. If you wanna last in this business, there's a bunch of people I've run into in this business who are very good. They're good recruiters, they're good salesmen, and I'm talking about in the recruiting space and also in their ability to do things on the floor or, speaking engagements like this. The people that I've seen that last in this business are the people that are genuine. That sounds cliche. I'm telling you, the people that I see that last in this business are the people that are really, really genuine. I can tell you right now, basketball-wise, I'm confident in my ability to do a lot of different things. Bose talked on my IQ as a young person, but I promise you, there's people in this gym right now that know more basketball than me. Matter of fact, I started to kick Bird out because when I was a high school coach at 26, he kicked my ass for 2-3 straight years. So I started to escort my man Bird out. But there's going to always be somebody that knows more basketball than you. There's going to be always a better recruiter than you. There's always going to be better people in so many different areas than you. If you're genuine what you do, people lash on to that. Because I can tell you right now, for young people, if you get a head coach, the first thing they're going to want to know is, one, if you're loyal, and two, if you're selfless. Those are the first two things. We could sit here and talk about recruiting and latching on to this kid, latching on to this AAU team or this, that, and the third. The first thing a coach is going to want to know is if you're loyal and if you're selfless. And I'll get to that selfless part in a second. Going back to me getting into the business. So treating people right and being right. As a kid, I played for DC Assault where Kurt, ran the team. And I was a knucklehead, but I wasn't too much of a knucklehead that people didn't know my heart. So when I was in college, I caught cancer. I tried to do it all on my own, right? Just getting it out of the mud. I ended up at one point being homeless, sleeping on benches. That stuff sounds cliche, but when you finally hit that point, that shit is real. Like when you hit that point, that shit is real. So for me, my whole entire life, I was built on getting hit, getting up, getting hit, getting up, getting hit, getting up. So at that point, the first thing I do is, man, I got to make some money. I get a so-called girlfriend. I don't know what I was doing, but I couldn't pay $350 a month rent, so she wasn't around much. So I had to get it out of the mud. I ended up getting a job at a medical center. It was called Rio Grande Medical Center. I remember it to this day. And at first, I was the janitor there, and I worked my way up to being on the phones. And then after that, I had to get another job, so I ended up working as a telemarketer. A lot of people don't know this part of my story. They just see Coach Cole's doing good at Bryant. They doing this, doing that. But I really went and got it. Again, I was a janitor at Rio Grande Medical Center for about a year. I was a telemarketer for about a year, and that was all just to keep myself afloat. I ended up not even thinking about basketball at the time. And then, out of nowhere, Curtis Malone called me. He was like, "Cat, what you doing?" I'm like, "Man, I'm doing nothing. I'm struggling. I'm just out here." He's like, "Man, look, if you ever get your shit together and you want to come home, I got something for you." That's all I needed to hear. I got myself together, got me a little plane ticket, came home. Kurt welcomed me with open arms. And I ended up being able to work out some of the guys. At the time, I was so far out of basketball, I didn't even know that training exists. Like, for people to train and make money, Back when I was playing, like, you got in the gym with the coach, they helped you, it was over. Like, it was nothing like that. I'm not knocking people that train because I made my living off of it. But back in that day, I didn't know anything about it. All I was doing was coming home and trying to help kids. Rewind back to how Kurt came up with the idea for me to be training. When I was young, I was really good at ball handling. And before I went to college, I think the video's still on YouTube. I'll see if I can share it with you guys. I made a video on YouTube of me doing some 1-ball, 2-ball, and 3-ball ball handling. That was when I graduated, in '05. I think Kurt may have got a hold of it, or Sydney or somebody may have got a hold of it in 2010, 2011, and asked me to start training some of the guys. Being present matters. You can't skip steps in any of this. We keep telling our kids and all of this, you can't skip steps. You can't skip steps, man. So for me, I didn't know nothing. I didn't think about college. I didn't think about high school. I didn't even think about coaching AAU. When I had some kids that he asked me to train, I didn't think about money. I didn't think about anything. My first kid was Nate Britt. Did a pretty good job with Nate Britt. I got on with Melo Trimble. I got on with Chris Jenkins. At this time, those guys were mid-major players. And I'm not saying that I made them. I definitely didn't make them high major guys, but timing and God and everything had their development go at the same time that he placed me in their lives. So that's all I thought about. I kept it, man. I showed up 6 o'clock in the morning to work out Nate Britt. I would go work out Romello Trimble at North Point, and that's all I thought about. I didn't think about anything else. A lot of times, our young people, you're always thinking about, if I do this, this is going to happen. If I do this, this is going to happen. If I do this, and trying to connect the dots. And most of the time, it doesn't work that way, man. It just doesn't. You have to be present in whatever you're doing. You have to be intentional in whatever you're doing. It matters. Because that same kid that you're working out, he knows if you're skipping steps. And I tell people all the time, because I've grown in this development business and I've been pretty good in, developing skills. People talk all the time like, what is the most important thing in development? The most important thing in development is for that kid to believe in you. If that kid doesn't believe in you, he's going to half-ass that work. The energy he puts in, I can do the same workout as David Vanderpool, who we all know is great. If the energy I give and the energy that kid has is not into that workout, he's not going to get no better. He's not. I've done this for years. He's not going to get any better. So being present in what you're doing, it matters, man. And then when you get to the next level of this college thing, that matters. I can tell you right now, as an associate head coach, as an assistant coach, as some of my head coaches, we can tell the guys that are there just there for themselves. We can tell right away. You can tell those guys that want to skip steps, that want to bounce around, that want to do this. And I'm not saying you don't move from place to place. You got to expand what you're doing. But like I said before, the 2 things that guys are going to remember is being selfless and loyalty. If you don't have that, none of this, the recruiting and all that stuff is ever going to matter. The stuff sounds cliche, and I might say a lot of cliche stuff in between the day, but that matters, man. That matters. So fast forward, I ended up working those guys out. Those guys got better. And then, like I said, relationships matter, right? So for me, I still didn't have no money. I used to, it's funny because Malcolm Battle used to work at the Boys and Girls Club. And I remember this, and getting emotional actually speaking about it. I remember this like it's yesterday. Malcolm, I don't even know if you knew me as a kid, but he gave me the gym to the Boys and Girls Club just to work out the pros that I had at the time. And at the time, I ended up having Nolan Smith, who was going into his pro career, and Norris Cole. I was so broke at the time. I had the same shoes on, the same sweats, the same shorts that I would leave Alexandria, Virginia on the Metro, getting to D.C. on Bennett Road, go to Boys and Girls Club, and work out my pros. didn't have money in so many ways that I had to show up an hour before. So if Norris Cole worked out at 10 a.m., I had to make sure I got to that gym at 9 a.m. so that Norris Cole didn't see me walking in with the same shoes that I had just got off the metro with. I would work out Norris 9 to 10, boo, 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 whoever my slate is. I would have to wait another hour that I knew those guys would leave and then get back on the train to get all the way back to Virginia. That's getting it out of the mud. If you think there's a quick fix to this, it ain't gonna happen. If you're not patient enough to go through the trials and tribulation of it, especially nowadays, especially if you're not in it right now, because the first slate of the hiring process, we're gonna go guys with experience, right? If you're not patient enough to try to go through the trials and tribulations that you have, then you might as well hang it up and try to do something else. If you're trying to rush the process, you might as well hang it up. But relationships matter. So, like I said, I was present in that. Didn't think about high school, didn't think about anything. A couple of months later, I got a call from Kurt again, and he said, hey man, you thought about doing any high school stuff? I'm like, yeah, of course. I work out high school people all the time. He's like, no, do you think about coaching high school basketball? I'm like, shoot. At the time, like Bose spoke to, I had a very, very, very high basketball IQ as a player, very high. But I didn't know shit about coaching. I'll tell you that right now. Like, being a player on the floor and having an IQ and coaching is different. But I thought I did. And that was my very first mistake. I thought I knew everything at 26 years old, 25, I think. First mistake, and I never made it again. So I hopped in that water, and I had, at that time, with my connections with working out guys and stuff like that, at that time, I was able to recruit like that. Within a 2-week period, I probably had everybody in the area trying to come. So my team was loaded. My first game, Riverdale Baptist, I think I had way more talent than them. Man, Lou spanked me by like 20. I knew it all. I didn't need the assistance. I didn't need this. I didn't need anything. I knew it all because I can see stuff on the floor and make stuff happen while I'm on the floor. That has nothing to do when you're in that seat. That seat hot. And some of you guys that are coaches, you know that seat's hot. All the parents can say this, all the fans can say this, the players think they know it. That seat's hot. That seat's hot. First mistake I ever made with this basketball stuff, and it was the last one. It was the last time I ever made that mistake. So I want to fast forward to, I'm not going to tell you all my accolades. I ended up getting the job. I found my way in coaching. I ended up winning 4 championships in 5 years. Ended up sending four first team all-Met kids to college. Ended up having my last year, I ended up having the player of the year all-Met. And he went on to college. Fast forward, ended up getting an opportunity. So the guy that hired me at Bryant, when I was at Hartford, he was only there for 2 months. He spent time around me for 2 months, so when he got the job, I ended up getting connected with him, and he hired me on the spot. Why? The same thing we teach our kids every day. Handle yourself like everything is an interview. And I'm telling this to young people right now. Every single time you step outside of your house and you meet somebody, it's an interview. No, I don't care where you're at, you could be in a restaurant, you could be on the court, you could be sitting here talking to coach. Everything's an interview because I'm gonna remember every single conversation. When it's time for me to hire somebody, I remember every single conversation that I had with anybody that's trying to get a job. Anybody that's trying to get a job. So going back to when I first got hired, and I said that was my first mistake. My second mistake was thinking that once I got hired, that my coach cared about what I knew on the basketball court. And this is probably one of the most important things I could tell young people or young coaches. I'm gonna try to put it to you in mathematic terms. If you have a coach that has been fighting 15, 20, 25 years to get a job, You think he cares about your offensive philosophy? He's been waiting 20 years to get this job. You think he hasn't worked under Popovich, whatever? You know what I'm saying? You think he hasn't worked under 6, 7 big-time coaches by the time he gets his head coaching job? He gonna listen to a high school coach because he won a couple of championships in high school? No, it don't work that way. So I went in there thinking I was big stuff. I went in there first meeting. Dude told me, man, we're gonna recruit your job is gonna be recruiting. Well, he told me on the phone, your job is gonna be recruit the DMV area, all the high school players in the area. Man, the first 2 weeks before I even got up there, man, I'm making sure I tighten up all my relationships. I had this pad of all the high school kids that may be in my recruiting area, you know what I'm saying? First meeting, man told me, yeah, we don't recruit high school kids here. I said, what? You just recruited me for a month and told me my job is going to be recruit high school kids. First meeting we ever had, we don't recruit high school kids here. So now I'm fumbling, what do I bring to the table, right? What do you bring to the table? Second thing, you gotta have a niche. You gotta have something that you do, and that you do at a high level. You can sit here and try to be Mr. I do this, I do this, I do that. Coach may not even need that. You gotta find something that I do. And what I started off being able to do is skill development. So when he took recruiting away from me, and he didn't take it away from me, but he switched up, I had to find a way to make an impact on the organization. One of the things my head coach, Phil Martelli, has put up in our office, we have a bunch of GAs, and they sit at a desk, and then the assistant coach's stuff is down the hallway and all that. In front of the GAs, the slogan they have is, don't ever underestimate how important your role is. And we have I'm blessed to be where I'm at because we have incredible GAs. We got a kid, honestly, that's there at 6 a.m. He don't leave until 11 p.m. He'll text me exactly what every kid has worked on that day that hasn't worked with a coach, that just got their own work on. He'll text me the time they worked out, exactly what they worked out, everything. No job is too small. My head coach worked for 15 years in the business, maybe 15, 20 years in the business, and he was at Bryant. Never complained. He worked for 15 to 20 years, and he was at a low major. Never complained. He showed up, and this is who I learned from. He's my head coach now, but at this time, we were assistants. Showed up every day, did the same thing. Same thing. I'm just watching him every day. Showed up on the same time every day. Left the office same time every day. Did his work. Everything was the same every single day, regimented. 15 years, never complained. He worked for some of the best dudes in the business. Stayed present. And then in 2 years, he popped. Now he's at VCU, head coach at VCU, making whatever he's making, family good, everything. People in this business, he started off at the hoop group level. People in the business, I can't do it no more after 5, I can't do it no more after 7 and 10, and I'm not knocking those people. Everybody's lives are different. They have to take care of different responsibilities. But being present and being persistent and being consistent, at some point, it's going to equal something. At some point, you're going to be able to recoup all those earnings that you had. So now, he got the job. Some things happened. I'm not going to get into all of that. He ended up being able to get the job. And in 2 years, he was able to pop, and he's at VCU. Just like that. Just by doing the same thing every day and not worrying. So for me, going back to the hiring process and everything, for me, I had to find a way to impact, our program. Quite honestly, my head coach at the time, he was messing with me, man. Kids started to like me. He was a guy that, he liked the limelight and all that. Kids started to like me. People around the community started to like me. So he started diminishing my role. You know, at one point I went from a guy that sent kids that were all met to winning 4 championships. I was on the sideline just recruiting stats. Never complained. Showed up every day, did the best I could with stats every day. And then what ended up happening is I would stay and work out guys from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, go home and come back and do the same thing every day. Didn't matter. And then the guys that I started to touch started to kick everybody's butt in practice. Value. Now I have value. Now he has to start letting me do some of the things that, you know, I think I was capable of. Ended up giving me a little bit more room with recruiting. And then guys that are from this area, you guys, I'm not going to sit here and toot my own horn, but you guys know what I was able to do at Bryant with the recruiting space. But would have never happened if I would have said, man, I sit here and complain and be like, this dude, man, is messing with me. Let me just get up out of here. Never would have happened. Never would have happened. So fast forward, I ended up doing that. Now I'm at VCU, obviously, because we had a couple of good years at Bryant. I'm at VCU. And one of the things I've learned throughout this whole entire process is when you finally are hired and you break through, there should be no job that is too small. I want to repeat that. There should be no job that is too small. If the coach asks you to sweep the gym, you better sweep the gym. If the gym isn't swept, sweep it anyway. Because we're looking down at that. You think that doesn't equate to no basketball, but we're looking down at that. And I know now that I can trust that kid or that dude that is doing the extra mile. I know I can trust him to do something. Take care of your responsibilities. If you're given a responsibility, and I try to teach young people this all the time. If you're given a responsibility, do that 100%. Do that first 100%. Because one of the other things I want you to know as a head coach is if you can handle responsibility. If I tell you to go check every class and then I find out that guys are missing class, I know you can't handle responsibilities. So why in the heck would I help you? Would I want you to run a drill? You can't even check classes. When I first got there, that was my job. Check classes. He didn't care if I could teach a pivot. He didn't care if I had a great set. He didn't care if I recruited high school. Check classes. So I did that to the best of my ability, man. I'd be snitching like a mom. I don't care nothing about it. I wish you would be late. I wish you would be late. And for the young people, if you're ever, helping young people get in the business, we took a couple of young GAs. And in our interview process, my first thing I asked them is, are you able, and Tyler probably can attest to this, are you able to separate how young you are with the guys that are you're coaching? Because nowadays they're getting older and the GAs are getting younger. So if you're 25 years old and you're coaching the 24-year-olds, can you separate that? Can you separate your nightlife? Can you separate on the court? Can you separate that? If you bring a recruit in, can you separate your relationship or how close you guys are and however you mingle while you're on the court with what you're doing off the court? Can you separate that? Going into, VCU, obviously VCU is a lot different than Bryant as far as the resources and everything we got. Outside of handling responsibilities, can you be adaptable? Can you adapt? If you can't adapt on the fly, you can't be in this business. If you have plans to go to DC and he tells you to revert, you got to go to Alabama, can you adapt to everything that you're doing? Is it possible? If you're brought there to recruit and then your thing is to do the operation stuff, can you adapt to that? And how quickly can you adapt to that? It's important. It's important. So I tried to speed through because I didn't want to, talk about myself too much, but I tried to speed through some of the stuff that I've learned throughout. If you guys have any young people, one of the best things my coach does is run practices. I've been around a lot of great coaches. Around a lot of great coaches. If you have young people or you as coaches want to come down to Richmond and watch a practice, I recommend it, man. Honestly, like I said, I'm gonna put some guys out here real quick and show you some of the stuff that we do basketball-wise to start our practices, and it's why we're so fast. But for him, if you guys have the opportunity, come down. He's an open book. I'm an open book. You're more than welcome. If you guys know any young coaches, man, please send them down. Because, like I said, I've been around NBA guys. I've been around college guys, some of the best guys in the business. But one of the best things he does is run practices. So, without further ado, we got 6 people that just want to. I ain't going. Dang, Tyler, they calling you for everything, man. We got 6 people. I just want to show you 2 or 3 drills that we do. I'm not going to have them move too much. 2, 3, 4. Give me 3 on defense real quick. What's up, boy? Give me somebody in the corner. 2 people in the corners. Slot. I'll be in one of these slots. Yeah, I need 2 more, to be honest. I ain't going to have y'all move. Just give me 1 more. Let me get 1 more. Appreciate you, man. Where you at? Stick on defense right here. So this is we're not going to go full court, but this is a full court drill. Get me down there. Coach will be on defense. The 3 on the inside will be on defense. So what we call this, we do this every day. We call this 4-on-3s. To me, we do a lot of simple stuff because we just like to spread the floor and let our guys play. But this is one of the simplest drills, but I think it teaches basketball and decision making. So what we do is we'll have 4 on offense, 3 on defense, and then there'll be another 4. Let's say there'll be another 3 on defense down there with an extra guy off. So that'll be 4 people. So all this drill it's really an offensive drill, but we also make it a defensive drill because we want those guys to try to get deflections. So we'll put 9 seconds, 10 seconds on the shot clock going up and down, right? So let's say there's 10 seconds on the shot clock. He throws it here. They're rotating. The idea is I got to be able to shoot, pass, or drive it or pass right away. If you got 10 seconds, you got to be able to do that right away. If I throw it here and he's not ready, that 10 seconds is going to wind out, right? So all this is teaching is quick decision making. So normally if that happens, he'll fly up or whatever. It doesn't matter. However they play it, he's got to score it, right? So say he shoots, you ain't got to really shoot. Give him the ball, they get the rebound, right? Now, whoever this guy was that's off, so let's say I'm on their team and I'm off. Now we're going down. You ain't got to go down. We're going down against those 3, right? Everybody got that so far? So now once spread out, what we add to it is if I'm here and I'm driving, now I got a quick decision making. If I'm open, I'm shooting. If I'm not a shooter, I can drive it. If I drive it, what's the next thing this guy should be doing? Cutting, right? If he's not a shooter. If he's a shooter, we get it there, we shoot. Quick, easy basketball. If I'm here and he tosses it to me, he closes out, what's the next thing I do? Get off the ball. So this stuff sounds real simple, but guys don't know how to play basketball nowadays. They don't. And so, yeah, it's an advantage in which we like to play in advantages all the time, but right here, throw it to him. If we're here and we got 10 seconds, he's got to make a decision now. If that guy's there, he's got to cut. Let's say he's cutting. If I'm here, I'm rotating. He's rotating. We're playing. Boom, I drive it, I score. Boom, easy basketball, right? They get it down, they're going the other way. Let's say they're coming back this way. The other thing we do, we'll alternate on different days. So on the next day, we might say, we'll raise it to 12 seconds. You got to touch the paint. The ball has to touch the paint before you do any scoring. So now, instead of standing around the perimeter and just throwing a ball around the perimeter, guys got to really focus in on either cutting or getting in the paint and kicking out and doing whatever they do. Right? That makes sense? I'm telling you, this is one of the simplest drills. It sounds simple, but if you ran it with your team right now, they're going to be throwing the ball all over the place because, like I said, guys don't know how to play basketball really. And the way we play, we don't want to call any sets. Like we do. Only time we want to call sets is if the ball goes in the basket, it's a dead ball, it's stopped. We have to run a set to try to get into something. We want to play and we want to keep playing. So one of the best things we do is the ball gets through the net and we're just playing. We're here, we're throwing it there. We got to make quick decisions. We're good with that. I appreciate y'all. Let me see that, Reg. The other thing we do, and like I said, we do all these drills in maybe a 10, 15-minute period. This sounds simple as heck. The other thing we do is we do full court layups, right? But we do them in different ways, and I'll tell you the reason why. We'll have a coach throw it off the rim, a guy catch it, and he's dribbling out, making a move, making a layup. We'll have two lines, so we'll have a line here, we'll have a line here. We do that every day to start practice. And the reason we do it, and we do it 1 through 5. Like we teach our 5 men to put the ball on the floor. And I'll tell you, so what do we teach every day in high school basketball? The ball goes off the rim, we're getting it here, we're turning, we're outletting, and then we're going, right? Well, the reason we're so fast is because when the ball goes off the rim, I don't care if it's the 5 man or whoever, the first thing they're taught to do is to dribble and hit ahead, right? The reason for that is, again, I catch it here, 1001, 1002, 1003, outlet, now we're going. This is a little different. I catch it here, I'm here, 1001, I'm hitting. It's two things. It does two things. It gets us up the floor faster, but it also, that big that is plotting and doing this and then has to redo his feet to go, he's already on the run now. So instead of him having to waste time doing this, if he's already pushing out with one dribble and kicking ahead, he's already in the momentum of running. That done took 3 seconds off of what our pace is right off the break. Those two things seem real simple, but we do those things every single day. Every single day, and what it does is drill into them how fast we're doing, how we're playing, how we're spaced out. That 4-on-3 drill, it teaches cutting, it teaches quick decision makings, it teaches spacing, it teaches all of that, because if I got 10 seconds and I'm here and I'm here, he can guard that, right? But now, if you give me 2 more spaces, if I'm here and he's at that other lane line and he's in the corner and he's in the corner, now my decision making is that much simpler. It's that much easier. So for us, like I said, I think last year we were 6th in the country in pace, and for us, we play positionless basketball, man. So 1 through 5 can really push the ball. Now, we don't want our 5 men catching it and dribbling and crossing over and doing all that. We're not teaching that. But if our 5 man gets it off the board, his first push dribble should be out. The second one should be hitting somebody, and then they should be gone. Like I said, some of this stuff sounds simple, man, but it really gets your team going. To be honest, if you have talent, which we do, the simpler you make it and just let them play, you just have them play in parameters like that, they'll figure it out. Through practices, I mean, you're practicing all the time, they'll figure it out. But you just got to teach them what to do in each instance. So I hear people talk all the time about playing fast, and once they do it, you're just running up and down, there's no space, and you're trying to shoot it as fast as possible, and that doesn't work. The last thing, as far as pace is concerned, is the other reason we're fast is because we do not stop playing. There's a lot of teams that will catch it off the glass. They'll do that. If they're stopped in transition, then they're bringing the ball out. They're calling horns or they're calling something, and now they have to redo. By that time, there's 20-17 on the shot clock. For us, we teach our guys just to play. Like, that's the reason that 4-on-3 drill is important, because we teach you guys just to play. So if the ball goes up, instead of bringing it out, we already know if we're going into a single ball screen. We already know if we're reversing it here and we're going into a drag, if we're going into a ghost. So just like Coach Cox did a good job of teaching the ghost screens, it's a little easier when I'm calling a play up here and I'm calling 42 ghost. You can prepare for that. But if I'm swinging it, I catch it, and this dude's going into a ghost, and then this dude's going into a curl pin down, that's a little more difficult to play. And those things you learn in that 4-on-3 drill. You learn when to cut. You learn how to play off of different people. And that's why we've been so good on offense. I think even at Bryant, I don't want to get the wrong number, but we've been up there in points per game. We've been up there every year in pace, and we shoot good percentages. So there's also, it teaches you to shoot good shots. Like, we're not just running up and down, just playing fast and shooting contested shots. That's not what we're doing. Our main goal is to put you in a scramble. As soon as we can get you in a scramble, now it's over, because we can pick whatever shot we want to get off of that. And they should not be contested. I think KD had a podcast one time and he hit it right on the nose, because there's a lot of debate on if the mid-range is dead, should guys be shooting mid-ranges. And to be honest, what he said was exactly right. I don't know if you guys heard it. KD can shoot mid-ranges, contested mid-ranges, but the 7th man, 8th man on the team, he shouldn't be shooting contested mid-ranges. Now, that's not to stop development. Like, if you're teaching a young kid and he wants to get better, you don't know how good, you don't know if he's going to be KD or not. So I recommend teaching the mid-range that. But once you get to our level, we're going to tell you, like, it's fine for 1A, 1B to shoot that contested mid-range. But 7, 8, 9, you better make sure that you're shooting all good shots, because you want to get to the next level, they're going to tell you the same exact thing. There's only a couple of Anthony Davises and, Edwards and so forth and so on, man. Like I said, man, it's actually an honor for me to be able to speak here, because there's a ton of people. One, I got friends here, and then there's a ton of people that shaped me into who I am and helped me have the success that I was able to have. So anytime I can come and give back, like I said, Bose will have my email if you guys want to come down and watch a practice, which I recommend. Please reach out. But anybody got any questions about anything, basketball wise or the journey or anything like that? No pressure. Anybody? We all good?
I got one, guys.
What's up?
So the big gets the ball off the rim and takes that dribble up and he's denied. The pass ahead is denied. Do y'all ever have a bunch of turnovers if somebody decides to take that advantage pass?
So when we first start practicing, absolutely. Everybody's turning over, especially. So we recruit a certain way, so our 5 men are able to kind of dribble a little bit. But we do have a big that cannot dribble a lick. So he's turned it over. Actually, he's not turning it over right now, and I'll get to that because of that drill. So we'll start teaching that. Put the ball in one hand, one dribble. It's not there. Continue to push it to the next one. Because there's nobody really going to jam the 5 man. I haven't seen anybody jam the 5 man yet. Now, he has to be able to understand. So going back to that drill, we'll do a couple of them. We'll go, boom, he dribbles all the way down the court, shoots a layup, then we'll go hit a heads. So we'll get it off the rim, he pushes, he hits a head, and then he goes. What that teaches also is if the guy's there, then you're not hitting a head here. You take another dribble, you hit a head there. You know what I mean? But at some point, he's going to get off the ball. It should only, the other thing we do is we try to get them there in 3 dribbles. Like, especially if they're a big, we try to get them all the way to the rim in 3 dribbles. And what that does is once he turns, 1 dribble, if this is denied, right, like you just said, then that second dribble and that third dribble, if he cannot dribble, if he's not a good ball handler, he should be going into a follow ball screen, or he should be getting off of it into a handoff right away. And you got to know who you are as a player we're not going to let our 5-man come down there and run offense if he's not capable of doing that, right? So he knows, like, firm knows, I'm taking that dribble, I'm either hitting the head or I'm taking that dribble and I'm either getting a layup or I'm going into a dribble handoff. But you got to drill it. You can't just tell him to do it in the game. You got to drill those things. So to answer your question, to be honest, the first, second, third week, even during that drill with nobody guarding him, he's kicking it off his foot, he's everything. But if he knows exactly what he's doing, it's easier to handle that and handle the ball and do what we need him to do. Yep.
So I think basically we can sum up to y'all style of play is kind of like playing random basketball in a way.
Yeah.
It's random with structure.
Yeah.
So let's say, you know, you're in a close game, close conference game, and it's the end of the game and you want, you know, quality possessions every time. Like, how do you separate from being able to play random and being able to play possession by possession basketball?
Well, so you have to know your team, right? You have to know your team, and by that point, you'll have some stuff put in. So, for instance, we have a very, very, very good freshman. Very good freshman. If he has the ball at the end of the game right now today, we're going to call something. And he already knows that. So he knows. So we'll have a couple of other things I didn't get into. Like I said, we'll play 5 out. If he's bringing it on this end, he knows he's either going into, I'm not going to say our name, he's going into action, not action, because it's kind of a motion thing. We're either going in 1 or 2. So he doesn't have the ability right now until we trust him to just play random. So as soon as he gets to this point, if he's not driving it, he's hitting here and we're into something. If it's something else, then we're going to, he only has 2 options though. Now there's another guy on our team who we'll let him do whatever he wants to do because we trust him. We trust his mind. Right now he's having a little bit more experience. But right now, even as good as that freshman is, he's not ready to get us a quality shot when it's time. And then also, that's coaching too. So if we don't even want to run something motion, then we'll have something at that time. You got to know your team though at that time to pull it out and get something quality. But normally we're teaching quality shots. And I think what your question is kind of getting at is number 7 is our best player. We need to get a shot for number 7. If we're playing random basketball, how do we get a shot for number 7, right? We teach that in practice because we're competing every day. We're having 5-minute scrimmages every day. If it's 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left, I don't care who you are. Unless you just made 3 threes in a row, that play needs to be going to him. So whatever you call, which we'll have right away, like I said, we don't come here and stop and call a play. As soon as he comes across half court, we already know what we're going into. It could be a pin down for that guy or whatever, but we already know what we're going into. And we have drilled that every day in situations for those guys to know. And as soon as they do it, like yesterday, there's a good point. We had a scrimmage yesterday, and one of the guys did not get a shot that he should have got. Well, not only are we marking that up on film, but, hey, PG, you got 10, man. Why hasn't he gotten that shot? He should have got that shot. So it's more of a process than just a quick answer, but that's it. Anybody else got anything else? Any questions? No? Man, I appreciate y'all again. Thank you. Appreciate it. Where Bo's at?
Cat. Yeah, I was going to come get you anyway, man.
Appreciate
But
it.
listen, thanks again. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Please, everybody, please, another round of applause for Coach Cole.